for now.
Mhm. So welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us today. The webinar will begin in just a moment. We're just waiting for everybody to connect. And while we're waiting, if you want to tell us where you're connecting from, that'd be fun. Where in the country are you? We're here, myself, Sergio, and Patrick in the background, which you don't see, you don't hear, but he makes it all run. We're in Laval, Quebec. Welcome, Susan. You're Peterborough, Hanover, Adam. Teeswater, Ontario. Where's that? Look at that. Stephen, Vivian, Chatham. Nice. Hensel. I know where that is. Some people know each other on here. That's great. I have a good call today. All right, we're going to give it a couple more seconds here to make sure everybody's able to connect. Hi, Sylvain from Sherbrooke, Bruce County. Stephen, you're representing the whole county. That's great. All right. So we're very happy to have you join us for our first MicroAge Talks Technology webinar of 2026. Today's webinar focuses on shadow AI, as you see, and also we're going to talk about, what is it, the realities, the risks associated with it, and also we're going to have some recommendations. My name is Maria Fiore. I'm the Director of Operations here at MicroAge, and I'm joined today by Sergio Lima, Director of Customer Success. Welcome, Sergio.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone.
And in the background, like I said, is Patrick, who's making all this thing run smoothly for us. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping notes.
Sorry, my slides are not following you. There you go.
Oh no, we're going to get lost.
All right, there you go.
Thank you. Attendees are muted to reduce the background noise, as I'm sure you've all figured out already. We encourage questions, so please use the Q&A to ask your questions. Interactivity between you and us and with each other is key, so please use the chat to share your thoughts throughout the webinar. The webinar is being recorded. The link to the recording will be sent to everyone within the next 24 hours, if all goes well. In the same email, you will be receiving the link to download the free ebook that we're making available for the webinar, and we encourage you to take advantage of the resources and share the links with your colleagues that may benefit from today's information. Lastly, at the end of the webinar, we will provide a link to a short 3-question survey in the chat to gather your feedback. Please take a moment to share your feedback with us so we can improve future webinars. And just as an FYI, this webinar, the topic of this webinar was suggested to us by other previous participants to our previous webinars. And so please let us know, how can we improve and what kind of topics you'd like to see. And we're going to try to put something together that you guys want to hear about. So before Sergio takes the helm here, I'm going to take a moment to give a brief overview of who we are for those of you who may not know us. So MicroAge is a Canadian technology service provider with 41 locations across Canada. We've been providing IT services and solutions to our clients for 45 years now. Actually, this year, we're celebrating our 45th anniversary. We strongly believe in creating a partnership with our clients to help them achieve their objectives. For the partnership to be successful, we need to understand your operations, who your clients are, how your people work, your challenges, your opportunities, your success metrics. All of this results in helping us to recommend and provide the IT services and solutions that fit your needs. This is who we are and how we work with our clients. Sergio?
Thank you very much, Maria. Let's hope my slides follow me.
Well, you're in control, so
yes.
I hope so.
So today we're talking about shadow AI. What is it? How it works? Well, it doesn't really work. It's just what is it? We'll look at the risks and the compliancy factor. I'll give you a couple of real world scenarios of how employees, users are typically using AI tools and the governance and the best practices and the fact that they may be using tools that you're not aware of. And feel free to ask questions along the way. Maria, I can't see the chat, so I'll rely on you and Patrick for any questions that come up along the way.
Well, we will let you know for sure.
Yes, yes. So let's start with shadow AI. If your employees are using AI without oversight, you're already running shadow AI. So whether you like it or not, or whether you know it or not, if you have employees using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, you name it, any of those AI tools, the problem we see is that there's no visibility. So if you're not seeing what they're doing, you're not able to contain or I guess put a fence around what information is being shared, uploaded, etc. Right? So they could be obviously. I mean, your employees are doing it because they want to improve productivities and they want to they want to improve their daily functions, etc. But the problem is they may not be aware of the security aspect and the data compliancy aspect, and you may not be aware of what exactly they're doing with those tools. So, um, they may be uploading sensitive files, they may be adding some browser extensions that you're not aware and is collecting information along the way, some info that you don't necessarily want collected and then uploaded somewhere and it's available by the public. Or you may be a company that is most probably built some kind of AI automation internally. Some staff has developed some kind of an AI automation and you're not aware of, right? That which maybe improves their productivity, but do you really know if it's handling your data in a security manner, right? I believe there is a question that will pop up soon. We have a poll question here on this slide, right?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So, Patrick, if you want to put up the poll, there it is.
So knowing this, the question is, are you using a personal AI tool at work? And I don't see the poll, but I'm assuming you guys see it.
We do see it. Yes.
Okay,
we'll
good.
give them a minute to respond, and we can, if you want to move to the next slide, Sergio, as you wish.
Yes, I will. Yeah. So why it happens? As I said, obviously, there's always this fast-paced in IT. It's always fast-paced, but in general, our businesses run as fast as possible. Why? Because we want faster results, and because there's always a shortcut way to get something done, and it maybe gives you a bit more time to do other things, right? So multitasking. A lot of times, AI is there because there's some tools that don't really do all of what you want them to do. So you're relying on some kind of AI that can help you facilitate that function. For example, if I think of our IT techs and resources, our admin staff, our admin techs, there's a lot of things that they can most probably automate to make their lives easier to manage certain environments and at the same time doing other stuff. So that helps them. There is obviously the pressure to be more productive or to be more competitive. You have competitors. Obviously, you want to be, as quick as possible, try and get, on board more customers and more partners, etc. Everybody's curious for AI, but the problem is there's no guidelines. So again, you have to work on the ability to contain it and monitor it and make sure that it's happening in the right way. And a lot of times we're using AI to, what they call innovation gaps, what they use it for. Marketing department might use ChatGPT or Copilot to help them with presentations, with marketing delivery, with creation of content, and all of that stuff. Obviously, it helps everyone at different aspects. But again, if the users are not aware of that sensitive information that is possibly being stored or uploaded or unknowingly, and then might be publicly available for anyone else to actually, when they do a ChatGPT search and then end up with your information that's available following a search. So there's a lot of risks there. Yes.
I was just going to say,
See the results?
The polls, 51% says yes, 40% said no, and there's 8% that said they're not sure.
Yeah, kind of fits the global number, but yeah, it's It's actually 79% of Canadian workers, Canadian office or companies have some kind of AI at work, but there's only 25 of them that run these policies in place and have it contained in with respect to limiting the types of tools they're using, ensuring that there's a security fence around all of that data so that it doesn't get exfiltrated or stored up publicly in the cloud, etc. So there's a lot of data leakage that could potentially be out there for anyone to exploit or do a search and then they end up with your information without knowing. That leads to if you're part of any kind of compliance, then it becomes a factor with the auditing and stuff because you're not technically compliant because your data is leaving your network or leaving your environment without anybody controlling it and knowing what kind of data is being shipped out or uploaded. The security vulnerabilities are mostly with the plugins. So when you have browser plugins and extensions that are installed at the click of a button, they're not necessarily secure in the sense where the vendors, for example, Chrome, may not have approved or verified a specific extension in their browser through their security standards. So if you're installing, then we don't really know exactly what information is being captured and what information is being saved and or sold to any entity out there, right? And again, there's some decision making errors. Obviously, you're doing searches, you're getting you're getting a result, and you shouldn't take that at 100%. Obviously, I mean, I use Copilot on a regular basis, but it's not my 100% go-to answer for everything. I just use it as a, I guess, second stamp or validation of what I was thinking following my research. And then the shadow processes is more on the workflows that anyone is doing, right? So if I use our techs as an example, if they've developed some kind of automated flow in Copilot to go monitor our customers' environments, to do a specific task, should a threshold be met or something happens, send me an alert. Well, all of that stuff, if it's being done with coding and it's being uploaded to, the AI tools that are not contained and secured, there could be potential data that's out there for other people to take. So why shadow IT is not the enemy? The bottom line there is shadow AI, is not a villain. It's just when it's unstructured, then it becomes a problem. Because there are benefits to it, obviously, right? There's productivity boosts. There's I guess the biggest one is the second point, the better content writing and summaries. I've seen this everywhere, using Copilot and ChatGPT to improve your document writing skills, contracts, policies, communications with customers, improves client communication. I've seen a drastic improvement, specifically in our environment, where employees are using it to improve, to optimize their workload, and it kind of helps when you have someone helping you with communications with customers and somebody helping you with documents, giving you different ideas as to how you can build that stuff. And as I mentioned, it creates some kind of creativity and some problem solving because it's an extra, in quotes, person that is there helping you to provide extra comment and feedback and research, etc. So here's some real world examples of what shadow AI could look like at your company, possibly. So a coordinator that uses ChatGPT to rewrite client proposals. So again, cool. But if you're taking a proposal that was made for a specific customer that has some kind of information on it, such as their environment, their IP addresses, their address, the names, etc., and you're uploading that to ChatGPT, or you're not containing that information, yeah, you'll get a good result with a document that you wanted. But the problem is that document is now possibly available in public if you're not using the right tools and if you're not securing it properly. I mentioned the fact that our techs, or any tech, could use AI to troubleshoot problems with environments, with computers, with scripting. That happens a lot. I know that for a fact that sales reps can leverage AI with email content, with communications with their customers, with the ability to canvas your CRM and collect specific information on a let's say a segment of a customer industry, and then take that and then just build a marketing content and then go out large and target those customers and then come back with a follow-up and an automated process that says this is my next step, etc., with the cadence, etc. So you can use AI to help you with that. And then we see a lot of managers that obviously, you have tools for ticketing, you have tools for your ERP, you have applications, you have all of this info coming in, and it helps you with the ability to grab all of that with your KPIs, so your key performance indicators, how much revenue I'm making, how many calls am I making. I'm doing this as an IT perspective. Let's say for us, with our customers, we use AI to canvas our 3-4 tools and then come back to us with our KPI saying we had this many calls this month, we averaged this much, this is our time to resolution on first time resolution, and how long did it take for our technicians to answer the phone, etc. So you can leverage AI to go collect all of that info and come back to you with a dashboard of information. Just some of the examples. But again, the problem with all of this is that there's nobody watching it, so there's zero visibility. I have no idea, or you may have no idea what your employee is doing and what data they're uploading or sending out to some of these tools. So it's hard to enforce any kind of data governance when you don't see anything, right? Leadership may be possibly looking at, I want to use AI and I see my employees using AI, but what's my ROI on that? Like, how, is it better? Am I getting, more hours out of this employee? Am I getting more work out of this employee? Very difficult to leverage that when you don't have any kind of monitoring or any kind of visibility. There's no consistency. So with the AI outputs, depending on the tools, you may get different answers. And again, the answers you get, you can't take them at face value. Sometimes it goes to collect information that could possibly be false from, websites and entities that are not necessarily, that don't necessarily have the right information for you. So again, and the high audit and the compliance risks are all over the place on this one, because if you can't see the data that's leaving your environment, then it's a problem for a lot of industries right now, actually. So there's a lot of focus on that portion, right? We've done this with our managed services, right? So a good example would be if I were to manage an environment of 20 computers and I only see 10 computers, well, the other 10 to me are shadow IT devices, because I have no idea what's going on with them, no visibility. I don't know if they're infected. I don't know if they're up to date. I don't know what the user is doing with them. So the goal is for me to monitor all of that environment, and it's the same concept for anything with regards to AI. You have to be able to monitor and audit the fact that you're using these tools and what information is going back and forth. So how do you bring that to light? Well, the first thing is you make it a roadmap and not a crackdown. I like that sentence, the bottom right-hand side. It's not a crackdown. It's not a bad thing. It's, again, you have to make some decisions. The first thing, we all did it on slide 14. We answered a question, acknowledge the existence of shadow AI. So we've seen that, right? So you have to acknowledge the fact that yes, you have employees that are possibly using AI within your environment. Now you need to assess what tools are being used. So is it ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, or any other tool, Gemini? Assess which tools are being used. Eh?
I was going to say there's like a bunch of every other day there's a new one,
yeah.
Right?
So you got to assess which ones are being used, which ones could be useful. And then you need to educate your employees on how to safely use them. And it's not as easy as it sounds, obviously, but there's a lot of, like for us, when we train our clients' employees, we do this through our cybersecurity awareness training campaigns, where there's content with regards to AI policies and I guess everything around what information you're transmitting and back and forth with any of the AI tools. Then I would recommend having certain people in, I don't want to call it an AI committee. I mean, I don't want you to start developing a bunch of people in a committee and then it just gets lost. But have key stakeholders in there who are who can make a decision on, yes, we're going to use this tool or these tools, and then the other ones need to be obviously moved over, blocked, restricted, etc. Where you'll enforce the guidelines and the policies, and obviously that comes with it's a one-liner, but it translates to like multiple pages worth of assessment evaluation you have to do to be able to take a look at what aspects of my M365 tenant and my data can I protect, so that you don't want to be looking at all of this and policing it manually. You want some kind of mechanism that automatically does a containment or policies in place. And the minute something gets misaligned, you get some kind of an alert, and it advises the right people to say, there's possibly a new tool, or there's possible data that may have been sent out or was about to be sent out and we blocked it. You have to look at that as well. And it's a continuous evaluation. So just because, Copilot is hot right now doesn't mean it'll be hot next year. And it's just a random name. I don't know. It could be the same thing for ChatGPT or any other tool, right? So continuous evaluation, because as they come up, there may be other tools that are a lot better than what you're using right now. Now, for the governance controls, without being technical, the easiest thing or the first step you should have is some kind of an AI usage policy. It's very similar to like an employee user manual, let's say. So if you have that for your existing business, you should have a section on AI usage policy. If you're having trouble or curious to see like what content should be in an AI usage policy, spoiler alert, you can just use like ChatGPT or Copilot and say, please build me an AI usage policy for my company, and it'll build it within 30 seconds. So, use AI to give you your AI usage policy. It's the easiest thing you can do instead of spending days or hours on it.
It's going to be a good start anyway, right?
It is a good start, yeah, because it'll actually give you the guidelines and it's like an employee manual, right? It tells you this is how you use your computer and this is how you connect when you're outside. You need a VPN. Don't communicate with clients in foul language, etc. It's pretty much the same content, right? But in the AI usage policy, it'll say things like if you realize that the content you're about to use in AI has some potential, private information with regards to the company, don't do it, etc. But that's just it's just words on a piece of paper or an electronic document. You have to be able to monitor that and limit that, right? And that's where it falls into the data classification rules. So again, using the right tools, you can implement labeling of your data so that you know exactly what data is considered private, what data is considered public, what data could be considered for sales or for marketing. So you can label all of this data and then have the underlying mechanism that is monitoring that say, this user tried to upload this file over to ChatGPT. It's not allowed as per our AI usage policy. I blocked it, right? So you don't have to learn after the fact that this information is already in public, and you want that blocked at right off the bat. You can do simple things like blocking browser extensions straight out of any kind of layered security you have. So your firewall or any of that monitoring side, you can actually block extensions from being installed to your browsers. Again, mandatory training. Train your employees on I guess, develop what kind of scenarios they would be using or leveraging AI, and then just make sure that there's some form of training that is given to them so that they understand and they are not your weakest link. Because similar to like cybersecurity incidences and infections and vulnerabilities, it is your user that is the weakest link. It is the same thing for AI. It is your user that could potentially grab your personal or private information or corporate info and unknowingly send it over to ChatGPT and now it's available to everyone.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The difference is with cybersecurity, if you have the right layers in place, you might be able to catch that kind of stuff, right? Like
Correct.
And with, but here you don't even know. Like
that's right. Yeah. So it's the same concept of your layered security, right? You're putting in solutions in place to block that from happening, because you don't want to do damage control after the fact. So that's the same concept. And then obviously look at your internal. So let's I guess I'll rely on the M365, your Microsoft suite. Most of you are probably using that. Make sure that your permissions and your accesses and your roles of all your employees and your departments, make sure that they are properly set and that they do not have access to data that they're not supposed to have. If you don't have that in place, the minute a user will start using AI tools, that AI tool will canvas your entire M365. And without the user knowing that they could possibly have access to, let's say, human resource files or financials, AI knows that you have access because it looks at the permissions level, and it'll actually go pick up some info that, could possibly, that you don't want that employee to get as information. So just as it's dangerous to have data go out publicly, it could be just as dangerous to have data sent to one of your employees that you didn't want them to know.
And we always talk about HR and salaries, but imagine, an engineering firm or an architectural or like architect firm or something like that, or finance, they have access to IP that is
Yeah,
your IP, and you are going to put it into a tool that's going to possibly use it somewhere else, and you don't even know. So your IP now is out there, right? So
yeah, yeah. I mean, it could be as it could be as simple as a tech asking a question on ChatGPT or Copilot and saying, let's say he's a net admin. How much does a net admin make in Montreal, let's say, as an example, right? So that'll go out and give you really good information on your area and tell you more or less what the salaries are. But if you have access to something internal, it may actually go internal and say, well, I found that some of your employees are making this much money because I see the documents. So you have to watch that. And then make sure you have the approved AI tool list. So again, don't let your employees use any tool. Come up with a list of tools that are acceptable within your business, if it's one or a couple, and then limit the rest or restrict all of the other tools. Otherwise, it'll just be, again, shadow AI, and they can use whatever they want.
also needs to be a two-way street, right? In terms of, like, again, we just said it, like, there's an AI tool that comes out every other day. And some of them might be better than what you're using. So if your
Yeah,
employees are coming to you and saying, I heard about this tool, maybe we should take a look at it, like be open to maybe changing that list every once in a while and
correct.
revisiting and making
Yeah,
sure that those tools are actually the tools that will bring that productivity that you want, or that, just making life easier for your employees.
yeah, yeah. Engage your employees. I mean, they may have uncovered some kind of tool that will help them and you as a business, and so you always have to look for continuous improvement. So here, I mean, here's an example of what you can consider approved AI versus not approved. So let's say we were to use Copilot Enterprise as the approved AI. What's not approved would be anything that's public and available, for confidential data, let's say. So you may be running two tools, and one for confidential data and to canvas your internal networks to give you relevant info for documents and contracts and similar scenarios that you've built in the past for your other customers. Whereas maybe a public LLM, like a free chat GPT or Claude would, do some simple searches on, I don't know, product descriptions and stuff like that. Make sure that they're compliant AI platforms, and versus like AI tools that require file uploads. Again, how to extensions, Chrome, unverified Chrome extensions. You spot them. I think is it a blue ribbon? There's a blue ribbon or a check mark that says it's established. If it's not verified by Chrome, as an example, it means that it didn't pass the Chrome security test. So if it's not passing the security test, it could be an extension that is possibly collecting personal information while you're browsing. So if, let's say, you were to browse your bank records online and that extension's active, it may be collecting information you don't want it to collect. And again, verified business grade AI tools versus the standard, free AI tools, which could potentially be dangerous if you're starting to work with files back and forth. and I didn't mention this, but well, I think I did, but stakeholders. Not everybody can make that decision. Just set up a couple of people or a committee that will evaluate the tools that are being used and then make a decision on whether or not they want it to get used. Obviously, there are security concerns, compliancy concerns, so you may or may not have the right enough people, or you may not have an IT staff. And that's where you can rely on, us as a managed service provider, where we can guide you in that and actually give you the pros and cons for every one of these tools. Now, here's here are a few best practices in the interim while you're, creating your AI usage policy and looking for some kind of mechanism that can monitor and actively look at the traffic and the in and out of anything that's regarding AI. I mean, obviously, don't upload things like client info, contracts, HR info, accounting info to anything that's public AI. Try and use tools that that are possibly been accepted or approved by the business. The third point is interesting. Don't take anything or any result from any AI tool as your 100% Bible to that's the right answer. There's been a lot of hallucination, as they call it. So obviously, AI likes to canvas everything and then come back to you with information. And sometimes it's sites and information that is not really verified or validated. Things like, I don't know, you're looking for a drug and it says this drug is safe for you. Where did it get this info from, right? Or, this clause is good and it's legal in your, your area, but again, where did that information come from, right?
Chris
So
Stone. Chris says on the chat. So you're saying not to use AI to write our AI policy.
no, actually, it's a pretty generic policy. I've tested it on 3 different platforms and it came out pretty much the same. But that's a good
And you
joke. That's a
validated.
good.
And you validated, right?
I did my validation with 3 tools, and then we double checked with a few entities that have already had. Believe it or not, we actually checked with a couple customers as well because they've developed their AI, their policy. So when it was time to do that, we compared. We took notes.
You validated. That's the
Yeah,
important part.
and the Copilot AI that I ran is not the AI policy that we put in place word for word. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very nice,
And
Chris. Thank you.
yeah, and don't be like not shy, but like don't be embarrassed that you've created a document or a communication and you used use ChatGPT or you used a Copilot. I mean, if you've created documents from something that's AI, then document it and and claim it. Say the AI was used in some of this document. Once you have that approval process and that policy in place, it's okay. I mean, it's going to be part of everyone's lives. Obviously, don't share
It
your
already
credentials.
is, I'm
Yeah,
guessing, for most
exactly.
people anyway.
Don't share any credentials. So if you have access to ChatGPT pay version, just don't give that to everybody else. Obviously, you can't control, again, oversight. You can't control what the other person's doing. So they may be uploading something you didn't want them to upload. And Maria, you mentioned this. Have your employees report any possible new AI tools that they seem to think that it's good, right? So here, I use this for that. So let's, can we look into it for the business? It might help. So in summary, like we said, it's happening already. As per Canadian reports, 79% of businesses are running some kind of shadow AI. Yeah,
IBM run that.
it's IBM. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is happening. So it's just a question of how do we contain it and how do we ensure that we're watching it and that the data stays where it should stay and not gets sent out to the public. It's risky, but also an innovative opportunity. Again, make sure that there's a fencing around that so that you ensure that you're watching what's being done, and that'll lead to good governance. But you need to educate your employees so that they can do this in a more productive and safe way so that your data is not exfiltrated or available to the public. And the biggest point out of all of this is enable your teams and don't restrict them. It is coming. Everyone will be using this. So I guess it's like a computer, right? 50 some odd years ago, computers were coming. Everyone was going to use it. We're all using it. So same concept.
That's interesting. There's a question from Todd. It says, have you heard of any issues with on-site LLM machines like the NVIDIA DGX, Spark, or custom build LLM systems?
I haven't. No, I
Me
wouldn't be able
neither.
to answer that. I have a couple customers that are using some internal AI tools, but I haven't had a chance to have a conversation. I'd be curious to see what they're doing with that, and you know, if it's how they implemented it and how they're controlling it. But I can't answer that. I don't have an answer.
That's a good question, though, Todd.
Yeah,
I'm
it
going to
is.
be looking out
It is.
for information on that. James asked, can data loss prevention or other solutions be used to help restrict with which data can and cannot be uploaded
It's
to AI?
it's precisely that. I kind of did it on purpose not to tell you what tools, because I didn't want to get too technical and then confuse everybody. But yeah, data loss prevention, DLP, buzzword. It is one of several tools you can use. It's actually, if you're in the Microsoft world, you can combine or activate the DLP portion of Purview. So Microsoft Purview does the data tagging, the labeling, the monitoring, all of the controls you need for oversight of your tenant, and the data that's going back and forth can all be done with, if you've decided to go with, let's say, Copilot, then I highly recommend you look at your M365 licenses to include Purview, which can activate DLP, and that is just it is the luxury of solutions that you can put in place, because it's a tool that will it doesn't need in other words, you don't have to hire an employee just to watch people do stuff with AI. You can leverage Microsoft tools to get you to do that compliancy, that oversight, and to actually block and contain information that's being sent laterally, whether it's internal, employee to employee, and upwards to the cloud or to public information. Definitely, yes, DLP.
So Adam has a comment that says the NVIDIA DGX is so interesting to keep data on premises and still use AI. Very new tool that needs some real world examples for sure.
Yeah.
We've also been seeing, I guess, what they call AI platforms. So these platforms exist, and there's a bunch of AI tools on there, but they're closed in that, it's for your company only. So there's chat and there's other Claude and all these other AI tools. I mean, depends on which platforms. I've only seen one which seems to have a lot of these. And then you choose which tools you can use within your organization, but the
Mm.
information remains in the organization. We still go back to, you still have to identify which information you wanted to look at, right? So there's still some security and guardrails to put around it, but these are all new things that are coming out to help, I guess, organizations figure out, how they can use AI securely, right?
Yeah. Yeah. See, we have a couple of financial firms that we deal with, and they develop their own internal AI tools, and it's exactly that, Maria. They're using it just for internal info, and there is no actually the policies say that they can't use any AI outwards, so they're blocking everything. But that's their need. They have client dossiers, files, financial records internally that they need to consult and come up with recommendations. So they've developed their internal IE. I still don't have all the details. Like I said, I'm gonna have a conversation with them to try and understand better how they put that in place. What tools actually did they use? Because they didn't use Copilot, that's for sure. They tested it and then eventually didn't go ahead with it. So they built something on their own.
I mean, this is going so fast that we're kind of all learning together and trying to figure it all out, right? So.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Yep.
as we said at the beginning, we are making an ebook available to everybody. It kind of talks about everything we talked about today. If you want to download it, there's a link. I put it in the chat as well so that you have access to that. Also wanted to remind everybody, and Patrick's going to put there it is, Patrick, right on time, the survey so that we can collect your feedback on the presentation and all of that. And, you know, any suggestions that you might have for what you want to see in the webinars going forward. But with that, and please feel free to ask questions while we kind of wrap up here. Thank you for joining us today. We hope the information we shared, you know, gave you a better idea of what shadow AI and that it was valuable to you. We encourage you to download the ebook and reach out to your local microage with any questions. Also wanted to mention that we will be back on March 12th with our next webinar, which is a bit of a continuation on this topic, on the topic that we talked about today, about, you know, but the focus will be more on how to securely use these free AI tools. So whether we like it or not, like we said, people are using these things and you know, giving them sort of an idea of how to securely use them, what not to put in there, and examples and that kind of stuff. So that our next webinar is that's what it's going to be more focused on. Sort of I want to call it a workshop, but that's a big word. But just a little bit of a, you know, just education on how to use these free AI tools, if you will, while everybody's, you know, putting together their policies and understanding, you know, putting the guardrails in place and all of that. We thought we'd help with a little bit of education on that. So that's March 12th. It is a Thursday. Today is Wednesday. Normally we hold our webinars on Thursdays, but Sergio wasn't available on Thursday, so we held it on the Wednesday exceptionally. But it'll be Thursday, March 12th. And so look for the invites in your emails or in your social media shortly. And with that, if there's no other comments or questions, which doesn't look like it. But with that, Sergio, thank you, as usual. Always interesting. And thanks to all of you for spending time with us today. Have a great rest of the day. And don't forget to give your feedback, please. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.